What's happening, YTBC? I just wanted to make this video because I wanted to just name 6 fighters who I feel that their fan bases are the most destructive fan bases in the sport of boxing as I see fit today. Now, before I do, I just wanted to make a quick disclaimer. Now, if I name one of your fighters in this list, who you feel is your favorite fighter, at the end of the day, it's just my opinion. And if you get a little bit upset or butthurt about it, I make no apologies about that. It is my opinion. Now, feel free in the comment section to, obviously rebuke what I'm saying and give me reasons why you feel the fighters I named or the fighter I named who's your favorite fighter, why they should not be on this list as in terms of having destructive fan bases. So before I actually do name my list, I just wanted to make a quick honorable mentions to 2 specific fighters, just give them an honorable mention. And those fighters are Tyson Fury and Billy Joe Saunders. Now, at this particular point in time, they're just newly crowned champions. I don't feel at this particular point in time I would class their fan bases as wholly destructive. I just think that, as they've just become new world champions, I think it's just probably best to give them a little bit of time, and then maybe my opinion might change in the long run. But at this particular point in time, I didn't see fit to actually name them in that list. So I will start naming my list, and I'll name. I'll go, from number 6 to 1. So in number 6, I'm gonna name Wladimir Klitschko. His specific fan base, I feel, have been extremely detrimental and destructive to the sport of boxing. And I named at number 6. Obviously, some of you might disagree in the fact that why Wladimir has actually been chosen in this particular list. I don't think specifically his fans have been, bad in certain aspects. I just feel that his fans have been very misguided in allowing Wladimir Klitschko to get away with fighting some really mediocre fights and mediocre fighters when he could have fought much better competition, in my opinion, at certain points in his career. But he's been allowed by his fan bases, obviously, who have been selling out his fights, even though some of those fighters have been extremely substandards. And I know some of you might disagree and say, well, it's not his fault that the heavyweight division was, not at its best, let's put it that way, during his reign. Obviously, onto the fact that he recently lost to Tyson Fury. But before then, I just felt that his fan base has been allowing him to get away with a lot of bullshit, and some of the fuckery that's been going on in certain amounts of his fights. But again, that's just my opinion, so I'll just I'll just leave it as that. The next fight I wanted to name, and number 5 on my list, is Canelo Alvarez. Now, I know some of you would think, oh, it's a little bit harsh to name Canelo, on this particular list, but in terms of Canelo, I just think that Canelo is a middleweight champion of the world. Now, Canelo's been fighting for quite a long time, and I think a lot of his fan base has been allowing him to get away with a lot of shit. In recent times, especially the fact that he's a middleweight, fighting at middleweights, which are 160-pound division, in my opinion. But he's been allowed to sort of devise his own specific weight class, which is 155 pounds. And he's been fighting there for, a recent number of his fights. And I just kind of feel that Canelo's fan base have allowed him to get away with that. And they've been giving a lot of really strange excuses in the fact that he's actually fighting at that weight. When, Canelo himself has the ability to actually fight at the full 160-pound weight. And I think his fan base have just let him get away with that. And that's one of the reasons why I have put him in that list as number 5. So I'm going to go into the last 4. And it was quite difficult to actually rank these 4 individuals as to which particular order should I actually name them. But I think I've just come up, based on my experience here on YouTube, here on YTBC, and also seeing some of the fuckery around what these guys have actually done. I've just named these particular individuals in the order I see fit, and I'll give my reasons why I kind of feel that these guys are actually deserving of the positions they're in. So the number 4 fighter whose fan base I think has been extremely destructive to the sport of boxing, and that's Sergey Kovalev. Now, some of you might feel that Sergey is actually in the lower end. He should have been higher on this list. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to disagree with you in some aspects. There's some aspects I feel that he should have been a lot higher, but I named him number 4, and here's the reason why. Sergey Kovalev, his fan base has been extremely idiotic. You know, they've got this called delusional grandeur that Sergey Kovalev is indestructible, he cannot be beaten, blah, 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 blah. And it's kind of let him get away with a lot of shit. Now, obviously, you know, with the clear racism that Sergey Kovalev, you know, perpetuates constantly, and plays the victim card and the fact that, oh, he didn't know that, you know, you cannot be racist, especially when you're in Russia and you say certain things and he didn't think it was racist, but dude, you're in the United States. You know, I'm sure you have a publicist who will tell you that certain things you say is actually, you know, they are racist. But the thing that really annoys me the most is that his fan base actually defend him. You know, his clear and utter racism. You know, and then also there's this constant taunting of Andre Ward. You know, and it just kind of annoys me more than anything, because okay, it's fine to be very, very confident. And I like Sergey Kovalev because actually he does, you know, he takes fights and he actually fights. But I think his fan base go way over the top with some of the bullshit that he let him get away with. And the most important thing, in my opinion, in terms of their destructiveness to the sport of boxing, is the fact they let Sergey Kovalev kind of get away with you know, it's kind of dodging drug testing. You know, a lot of his fans don't question him on the fact that he's very reluctant to actually get tested on a random basis. He's made this perfectly clear in certain interviews that he doesn't believe in certain types of testing, which is kind of funny to me because, you know, there's no such thing as believing in certain type of testing. You should be able to take any sort of test, and if you're more than comfortable and confident of being clean. But that's my opinion. I put Sergey Kovalev as number 4. I think his fan base are extremely destructive, and they have been destructive in recent times. The next fighter I would name on this list, and I put him in number 3, is Manny Pacquiao. Now, I know some of you will probably scream of derision, saying, how can you put Manny Pacquiao number 3? Well, here's the reason why. Recently, Manny Pacquiao's his fan base has been extremely quiet. For obvious reasons, he's obviously had a few losses. Most notably, his last loss was to one Floyd Mayweather. You know, obviously that was the so-called biggest fight of the century. You know, I just enjoyed the actual spectacle of the fact that he actually lost. But the point is that his fan base, you know, have been, you know, obviously been perpetually racist towards, you know, certain all ethnicities. I'll put it that way. You know, obviously being extremely racist towards black people is just like a norm to Manny Pacquiao fans. I mean, they've been doing it for years. But obviously, with the fact that Manny Pacquiao has been aging, I think his fans have been extremely destructive. They've let this guy get away with practically almost murder. You know, with the drug testing, with the constant denials of PED use. You know, Manny Pacquiao's fans are, you know, if there was stupidity put on a wanted list, they'll put Manny Pacquiao's face and then put his fans right at the bottom. That's how much I just feel that Manny Pacquiao fans have been so destructive to the sport of boxing. It is unreal. But obviously I put him in number 3, and the next 2, I'll explain exactly why Manny Pacquiao is number 3. The next individual I'm going to name in the list is Aamir Khan fans. Now, Aamir Khan, you know, where do I start with Aamir Khan? Aamir Khan himself is like a perpetuation of extreme stupidity. This guy is deluded as hell. Says a lot of bullshit, and he even backs it up by doing some load of bullshit. Yeah, I don't want to hear that the fact that Manny Pacquiao is now taking on Canelo Alvarez. I don't want to hear that kind of shit because Aamir Khan, you know, obviously forgetting about Manny Pacquiao. Aamir Khan fans, I don't want to hear about the fact he's taking Canelo Alvarez, his next fight is Canelo Alvarez. I don't want to hear it because at the end of the day, 2 whole years practically, he's been doing nothing. You know, his last fight was Algeria. You know, this is a so-called superstar. But the thing is that his fans will defend him like there's no other means of life. You know, it's like their life depending on it. They have to defend Aamir Khan. Aamir Khan, you can't talk about Aamir Khan. You can't talk about Aamir Khan. No, yeah, I can. I will talk about Aamir Khan. Because Aamir Khan is the perpetuation of bullshit. You know, in the sport of boxing as it is, as a whole, he is unbelievable in terms of how much his fans will let him get away with bullshit. You know, he will lie his way through everything, claiming that all these fighters are avoiding to fight him. He tried to get this fight, tried to get that fight, and we all knew it was bullshit, but his fans were like blinded by I don't know what. You know, rather than call him out on his bullshit, they let him get away with it. He has been nothing but unbelievably destructive, and his fans have been even worse. So I put my Aamir Khan fans at number 2. Now, obviously, putting Aamir Khan fans at number 2, you kind of wonder who I think the number 1 fans of destruction of the sport of boxing are today. And with no further ado, I'm going to name Gennady Golovkin. Now, Gennady Golovkin is number 1. His fans are the number 1 most destructive fans in boxing today. Now, you might disagree with it. In my opinion, that's my opinion. Exactly as it is. The most annoying thing about the fact that GGG fans don't understand one specific aspect. Gennady Golovkin has not been fighting top competition. Now, his fans will have you believe that Gennady Golovkin has been fighting King Kong, been fighting, they've been fighting the Taliban. They've been fighting everybody, ISIS. You know, Gennady Golovkin can go in there and knock them all out just with one finger because he's been fighting tough competition. When the reality is, he hasn't been fighting any top fighters. He hasn't. He hasn't fought anybody. You know, but once you point this out, GGG fans always throw out the obligatory, oh, you don't like him because he's white. You know, that old chestnut. Even though when you look at the facts that if GGG was black, he would be hated even more. So how does that work? This is the thing I don't understand by some of these guys. The logic is unbelievable, but GGG fans cannot accept the fact that Gennady Golovkin has not been doing it. But they have been worse. They've been horrible. They have been absolutely detrimental to the sport of boxing today. They have been so delusional. They've been so irresponsible with their actions, their words, their extreme racist attitudes towards the fact that, you know, they play victim on every single aspect, and then they expect you to sort of accept it, swallow it, because GGG is white, even though you point out as a fight fan that he is not fighting anybody of any substance. But that's just an opinion. Rather than trying to defend the argument, the first thing that comes out of certain individuals' mouth is to throw in racial slurs, and that's what GGG fans are very good at, and they are destructive to the sport of boxing. But anyways, that's my opinion on whose fan bases I feel have been destructive in recent times. If you disagree with my list, please let me know in the comment section. If you do agree with my list, obviously let me know of other fighters whose fan bases I may have missed. But that's just my opinion. Anyways, peace. I hope you enjoyed my list. Peace.